Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Basalt Town Council meeting for April 28th of 2022. And we've got some new faces up here. I know you saw them at the last meeting, but first face-to-face for me. So pleased to kick this off tonight. So Pam, if you'd be so kind as to call the roll.
Absolutely.
Attendance.
All right, let's begin with Ryan Slack.
Here.
Bill Kane.
Here.
Dieter Schindler.
Here.
Angela Anderson.
Here.
Glenn Drummond.
Here.
David Knight.
Here.
And Elise Huddle.
Present.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Are you here? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Next order of business is our consent agenda, which consists of...
Recording in progress.
I think we got a little feedback.
What is causing
Number 9.
Turn down your volume.
That's a good idea. That's what we needed.
Okay,
Thank you. You got it. That's it, sir. Thank you.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we have 2 items on the consent agenda, minutes from the April 12, 22 meeting, and we also would like to continue the public hearing and second reading for ordinance number 6, series of 2022 to May 10 of 2022, which is the ordinance approving a recreational use easement for Basalt Vista. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Consent agenda is approved. So at this point in our meeting, we now will have a call to the public to see if there are any members of the public that would like to address Town Council. Access to Basalt Town Council meetings can be found at www.basalt.net under Agendas and Minutes tab. So click on the April 26th meeting packet to open. I think it might say April 28th, but on the meeting access instruction page, click on the link to join the webinar. So do we have anybody that's called in? Can you tell Pam?
I am going to take a quick look right here and see. Participants. I don't have anyone sitting in the attendees section.
Cool. Okay. So hearing none, we will then open the floor for mayor, council reports and comments. Anybody like to address council, bring us up to speed on extracurricular activities, anything? I would certainly like to welcome Michelle. I think Michelle Thibault's now. Do you like Thibault or Bonfils? They're both beautiful French names. Which one do you?
You can do either one, Bonfils or Thibault, whatever you like.
Okay.
Both my names.
Great.
So.
Well, welcome, Michelle. So
Thank you.
Michelle's our new planning director, and we really look forward to working with you, and welcome to town. We're very pleased you're here, and congratulations. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, that's it's great news. If there are no comments or reports from council, I think we can open it up for our manager's report, which looks like there's a lot.
Yeah, a couple of things here. So first, just wanted to let the council know that we'd been working toward over the last few years, actually, a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Reporting, and that's through the Colorado Government Finance Officers Association. And this is a significant award to get for this organization. It's been a lot of hard work. Christy put a tremendous amount of time into it. Other staff members were also required to give us a lot of information that goes into this audit report. And so it's just a really important achievement for us. And as you all know, we've been working very diligently over the past several years to really get our finances to a place where we're just building on that transparency for the public, for you all. So we're, I just have a greater understanding of where our money comes from, what our money is spent on, and we got it. So this is a really important thing for us, and Christy did the lion's share of work on it, so it's really, really awesome. So thought that was important for you all to know. So congratulations on that, for not only for you but for the entire town. It's really awesome. Anything to add to that on the award and
Yeah,
Its
it's a
significance.
national award, and you know, it's really rigorous, but I just wanted to just say that we've just got a really good team, and I'm just really grateful to Jenny Aragon as well, for all the work that she's put in. She's just really diligent every day to keep working on everything from payroll, accounts payable, getting things, anything somebody asks, she answers and provides the information. So I'm just really grateful to have a good team that is supportive of all that we do in accounting as well, so.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I'd like to second that too, and remind everybody, it wasn't that long ago when we were struggling with Tabor, and, you know, we were going through multiple audits, scrutinizing our whole sort of tax collection process. So this is a remarkable accomplishment, and, you know, we've gone from troubled waters during, you know, the Tabor exam to where we are now, which is, you know, an AAA rating. So, you know, it's just spectacular. Thanks. It's just a great accomplishment. We really appreciate your hard efforts, and I think you've just done a great job.
Thank you.
And everybody knows it, so fantastic.
yeah,
Well done.
it's great. So yeah, thanks to everybody involved. And then also wanted to announce, so in addition to Michelle Tebow joining our team as planning director, we also have Matt K is what we're gonna call him, but Koenigschnecht is his last name, and I think I did not quite pronounce that correctly.
Try that again?
I can't. But he's our new rec director. He started part-time. He's finishing out the school year, so he's currently a teacher with Roaring Fork School District. But prior to this year being in the classroom, he was a principal down in Carbondale for 6 years. And just a really awesome guy, lives here, has a young family. And so I think he's going to be a really good fit for our recreation program. We've already also hired our pool manager for the summer. So Matt Bates is his name. So we now have a couple Matts here in Town Hall. And we've already met with public works staff over there just to start, you know, kind of getting things tuned for our pool staff for the summer. So more to come on that. And I did put out an email to all of our recreation, recreation users in the community that we're starting to organize baseball. I know some parents out there are probably wondering if when that's going to happen, and we're running a bit behind on that, but have been in communication with all of our counterparts throughout the valley that we'll be playing against. So we are looking for coaches specifically for the 7 and 8 year olds, 9 and 10 year olds, and 11 and 12 year olds. Those are the three different age groups we have, and we have both baseball and softball. So we're trying to get those coaches first, and then that'll kind of dictate whether or not we're going to be able to field a team in various age groups. So we're working on that, and have a meeting the middle of May to come up with a game schedule, and then we'll open registration probably here in the next week, so people can start doing signups for that. But looks like we're getting pretty close to staffing back up, so that's a relief for all of us here at Town Hall. And that's all I have for you for now.
Have news on staffing in the planning department? We still have an open slot there.
Yes, and we, James and I, yesterday had a potential candidate come in and do a brief interview with us, so that position may be close to being filled as well.
Great. All right, good news. Any questions for Ryan? All right, then we'll turn to presentations. Foster up. Chris, you're up to start the proclamation for Arbor Day. welcome.
Thank you. I'm Chris Beiser. I'm the arborist and horticulturist for the town of Basalt. I'm going to just read off our lovely Arbor Day proclamation that is this upcoming Friday, April 29th. April 29th. And then I'm just going to go over a couple of the events and just some big picture projects that we've been working on that tie into Arbor Day. All right. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving up paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, the mayor and the council of the town of Basalt, Colorado, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the town of Basalt, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 26th day of April, 2022.
You're here.
Well said.
Excellent.
So just a couple of efforts we've been doing with throughout the town to try to get we have an arboretum status that I believe I brought up in the past, but we're trying to expand on that. As part of that, we have to increase species diversity, things like that. So I've ordered an additional 25 trees consisting of 14 brand new species for the town. A lot of them herald from my hometown, Chicago, so, fingers crossed that they do well up here in the mountains. But we're doing this with the goal of trying to, like I said, increase diversity of our tree canopy in town, as well as to improve the palette of options that we can offer for recommendations when homeowners call for street tree replacements and or for improving their own landscapes. We're also participating this year in the Select Tree Evaluation Program. This is coordinated through the Colorado Tree Coalition, and we're trialing a new cultivar of maple tree. Us, along with Glenwood Springs, are actually the highest elevation town that's participating in this trial. It's called a Manzano big tooth maple, so you may be familiar with the big tooth maple. We have a handful of them around town, but this is a new cultivar specifically bred for drought tolerance and to be a larger tree than what our typical big tooth 10 to 15 foot tall tree would normally be in the area. We'll have one trialing as a street tree in Willits, as well as another one planted in Albany Park, and I'll be reporting back to the Colorado Tree Coalition at the end of the season, as well as the next few years, just keeping them filled in on overall status and health of the trees. As part of our couple of events that we're doing, we had one last Friday. It was an Earth Day, Arbor Day combo event that was coordinated through the Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers in conjunction with the One Tree Planted organization. We had a group of volunteers plant 11 trees along Valley Road in Willits, so we're trying to improve that screening space between Highway 82 and Valley Road and the residences there. And then our official Arbor Day event will be held this Friday in Albany Park. It's going to be running from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be a hands-on tree planting educational seminar, and all ages are welcome. So if you would like to learn how to do proper tree planting, as well as initial care and proper plant health care for your trees, feel free to stop by. Our local tree care company, Peak Tree Works, is actually donating their time and their resources to help us get this accomplished. We're going to put in 7 new trees there and try to expand that canopy that everybody can enjoy the shade while they're in that park. I'm really excited for this new project. I think after a couple years of break where we weren't actually allowed to have any in-person events, this will be the first one we've had since 2019. So I'm really excited to get some of these things going.
Excellent.
Chris, briefly, would you also just tell the council the effort you just completed with regard to creating some space around the trees and why we did that in case they
Absolutely. I'm sure if you drive around town, you'll notice there's new what we call mulch circles around every single street tree and every single park tree in town. It comprised of almost 2,000 trees that we had installed this past spring, early spring. And it involves just peeling back the turf to get it off of the base or the trunk of the tree, and then installing mulch. And this gives us, besides the obvious aesthetic value of that, it promotes soil water retention. It promotes reduction of mechanical damage to the bases of trees, which is my main drive for this. I really am saddened to see when, inevitably you've got mowers banging up against the side of trees trying to get all these parks mowed in a short period of time. Inevitably there's damage, so this is something that we can actually help to kind of prolong and improve the longevity of our average street and park tree. So we started in Albany Park and moved throughout all of the Willits neighborhoods. We then transitioned over to Southside and got that completed. I believe they're wrapping up Albany Park, they just finished, and they have a handful of just kind of odds and ends spots that they'll be finishing up here, and then it'll help with just generally improving the longevity and lifespan of our average tree in town, which is kind of one of my driving goals whenever I'm trying to change our protocols and how we take care of things.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Do we need any sort of action from council to authorize the mayor to sign the proclamation, or am I good to go to sign it? What's our?
I think you should be good to go, yeah?
Yeah, I think as a proclamation of the mayor, just read by staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we want a voice vote, or just, it's good?
Sure, why not? If everyone on the board, or if all of the town council would
Hopefully
love to
nobody votes
express
no.
their enthusiastic support for
Elise has a
Arbor
comment.
Day, so.
Well, I had a question unrelated to the proclamation. Well, actually, no, tangentially related to the proclamation. I was just curious how many new lodgepole pines were planted on the Ponderosa Trail. This is an ongoing debate with my boyfriend and I.
So you're referring to last summer, we had some fire mitigation work on the Ponderosa Trail. We completed the first half of that stretch that's currently in trail, has trail built out on it. It's actually Ponderosa pines that we planted.
Oh, what did I say, lodgepole?
Yeah.
Sorry, Ponderosa.
I did plant a few lodgepoles, but not in Ponderosa. I'm trying to bring back the actual name of that park. When the trail is completed with an extension in the future, it will actually kind of dead end into an actual Ponderosa forest, so to speak. But there's no Ponderosas in that first half, so we planted 40 of them.
Okay.
And an additional 10, they're just all little 1.5 foot tall saplings around town.
Who won?
Trent. I mean, me.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if somebody wanted to make a motion to approve the Arbor Day proclamation, all town council can be in support of it.
Yeah, so let's just do a quick voice vote. All those in favor of the proclamation, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Good deal, so I will duly sign it. So, thanks, Chris.
Thank
Very
you.
good update. So the next order of business presentation is Christie's going to go through the pre-audit preliminary financial discussion, so. Welcome, Christie, once again.
I mean, it doesn't get any more exciting than audit. I always have to say that this is just so awesome. I'm just so happy to be able to do this for you guys. So the town auditors completed the field work the week of April 11th for the town. They did some preliminary work in January, talking to all the department heads. They had us literally compile, Jenny and myself, literally thousands of pages of information and data. And they've reviewed each one of those in copious detail, asking us lots of questions during the field work. And we're happy to say that they didn't have any audit adjustments, which is a big accomplishment. Usually they find something. So it's really good. We've got our processes working. What that means is your processes are working in the audit and accounting side, as well as your internal controls and all those kind of things. They didn't have any big red flags that I know of, but they're still not done with their audit until they actually sign off on their audit, which is when they, that'll probably be in June when they come and actually report that to you guys. But preliminarily, good news. So what I did, just so that the council is aware of the funding available, if you could put that up, James, real quick, thank you. I focused in on the general fund and the restricted fund, which are the two major, sources of you know, like as far as fiscal health of the organization and those kind of things that you would be asking question about. The rest of the funds I really didn't dive into in this analysis. So, so the general fund specifically is this page here. And so what I did is I just put together a brief summary of revenue versus expenditures, how it tracked it with the projection, how it tracked with the budget. Okay, and you notice difference budget versus actual is $2,078,000, and then difference projection versus actual is $1,543,000. That means that you came out $2,078,000 ahead of your budget comparatively, and $1.5 million ahead on your projection. And you think, wow, that's good news! Yay! You know, we have so much money. Well, it's not quite that easy to determine. So I've got some more information to share with you where we're at right now. So the middle part of this analysis is the 2021 fund balances by each type of fund balance. The first one is, it just denotes your minimum fund balance projection versus audit. And that's just your 40% that's been approved by council that we set aside, so everybody knows what that is. And then you've got what's called unspendable fund balance. It's boring audit stuff for prepaid expenses. And then Tabor 3% emergency reserve. It's required that we put 3% aside of expenditures each year of our fund balance, so that we hold that aside in accordance with law. Then after all that's said and done, then you have the unrestricted, the monies that is potentially available for use, okay? So we projected 3.3 million, we came in at 4.8 million, so we're still, like I said, about 1.5 million to the good, because we had that additional revenues come in. But, and we actually reduced our expenditures for last year, but not so fast, because the bottom here, it shows your $4.8 million in unrestricted fund balance, but then you have to take away all your carryovers. So a lot of the favorable expense variance was just because those projects weren't completed, and we had to transfer those into the next year. And so you see the $675,000 roughly that we're looking at transferring this meeting, and then we already transferred in Ordinance 5. Then we've got the $465,000, which was the town's contribution for the Midland project. 465 because we had some favorable one-time building permit fees. Then the original budgeted use of fund balance for 2022, we have to account for that because that's already in the budget to spend. And then we have some changes that affect the unrestricted fund balance, because somehow of like the way the expenditures work and tie out, that you have to account for. That's not any use of fund balance, that's just a change in which bucket it goes into. So bottom line, after all that's said and done, 2.4 million in available unrestricted fund balance. We said we were gonna have roughly 2.1 million in our projection, so we're 330,000 ahead. So it's still good news. Okay. But I try to put this, the unrestricted fund balance is really probably your most important indicator of fiscal health. And so that's why I put so much effort into making sure that you guys understand that particular indicator. So any questions on this?
So the big delta was unanticipated growth in sales tax revenue, the $2 million spread, that was basically, or maybe across the board, I know fees and.
Well, yeah, Mayor, it was interesting. Actually, the revenues, we were only 213,000 different because we did a revised budget. So we were pretty close on our revenues. Really, the large difference was in our expenditures, because we carried over so many expenditures, and then plus we didn't hire certain positions.
Okay.
So then those are favorable, unfavorable variances, because you really want to have those services in place.
Okay.
So mostly the projects that we didn't complete that we had to transfer, plus some savings in salaries. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good question.
All right, questions for Christie on the pre-audit stuff?
Okay.
All right.
Just so you guys know, just part of that transparency piece is I always include the restricted balances in there, which is the same as the restricted balances that are noted in the budget. So all of those, you know, if you're curious about any of those buckets or you need more information on that, you can refer to the audit for the explanation on that, or you can ask us, so that's available
The
for
audit's
your,
going to look at restricted funds as well, water and post.
Yeah.
Okay,
everything, yeah, correct, yep.
great. Thank you for that explanation.
Nice job.
Yeah.
you.
Sleep soundly tonight. Thank you. So that concludes the presentations. Next order of business are council actions. And first up is interview and appointment to post Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee. We're going to talk to Sarah Shaw tonight. We're very lucky that she is going to talk to us about this. So James, do you want to?
Yeah, Sarah, you want to come up? Sarah has proposed and requested to be on post, and the post committee has interviewed Sarah, and Sarah has attended a meeting, and post has recommended Sarah for appointment to the post board. Sarah has background on being on the City of Aspen post board, and we'll let Sarah talk a little bit more about herself, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions.
Great.
Sarah, would you like to
Sarah, welcome. Thanks for
talk about yourself?
Thanks for coming. Thanks for your interest in doing this. This is a great opportunity for us, I know, so fabulous.
Well, the first thing I'll say is there are two Sarah Shaws in Basalt, and maybe you know the other one. She is just riding bikes like crazy, and she places at the top of all the bike races in the summer, and everybody comes up to me and tells me how great I am. And I do like to bike, but I'm not that good. So she's also quite a bit taller than me. So I don't know if you know her, but anyways, I'm just making the difference. So, yes, so my husband Richard and I moved to Basalt about 3 years ago from Aspen, and he's been in Aspen a long time, and I was in Aspen for about 20 years. I arrived in Aspen to work for a design workshop, so I actually know the mayor quite well from many years back.
Who are you?
And Elise, worked with Elise. So I was a landscape architect with that firm for a number of years, and then went out on my own to do some landscape architecture, and more recently have been doing a lot of freelance writing, books, other freelance opportunities. So, but always with the subject of sort of landscape architecture, planning, design, conservation in mind. So that's been my my trajectory. So, and I'm a big user of the Basalt trails, out and about all the time on my bike with my dogs. I truly believe in what the committee does, and I would like to, participate in Basalt as I did in Aspen.
Great. Questions of Sarah Shaw for post? Well, I would just like to thank you for your interest, and I just think this is a fabulous appointment for the town. Sarah is a very accomplished landscape architect. She's also an enormously accomplished writer, so if you have a burning curiosity about high altitude plants, she just published a wonderful book. It's a photo and written essay about the Ford Garden and Vale.
In that other valley.
Yeah, it's the other valley, but it's kind of a national center for research on high altitude plants, and it's kind of, I think, the definitive thing that's out there right now about, these rare critters that you see up in the high country. So that's quite a nice accomplishment. So at any rate, this is great for the town, and we really are happy you're going to do this. So
Thank you.
got my
I have one question.
100% endorsement.
Are you gonna be able to get along with Reed?
Am I
With Reed?
Oh, that's right, I know Reed. Yeah, I hope so. Of
Yeah,
course.
so Reed Howie's on our board
Yeah.
also. Those guys go way back to
Yeah,
land trust days.
Aspen Valley
so,
Land Trust, yeah.
Okay, so if there are no further questions or if not discussion, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that the town council appoint Sarah Shaw to post for a term to end on April 26, 2024.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Sarah, thanks
Great.
much. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is going to
Thank you.
be, great fun.
All right,
Hope you enjoy it.
well,
There's
I'll see you out there.
You know,
You're
there was a
welcome.
great Elvis Costello song that said, welcome to the committee, welcome to the working world. I know it won't thrill you, I hope it won't kill you.
On that note,
Yeah.
all right. He's so funny, isn't he? All right, thank you.
So, that's that one. Now, we have an appointment to the Financial Advisory Board. So, Christie, you've got that one.
Christie, you might want to type, flip the thing down.
Oh,
It
sure,
just says
yeah.
Chris Beiser.
Okay.
Depends on the presentation.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. So here tonight, we have Eric Tyley. He has expressed interest in the Finance Advisory Board, and so he actually attended the last Finance Advisory Board meeting. We were really excited to have him, and the Finance Advisory Board had unanimously approved his and recommended his appointment. So, Eric, is there anything you want to say, or?
No, thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Eric Tyley. I moved to the Valley in 2016. I'm originally from Telluride, Colorado, and then did a big lap through the western United States before coming back
Wow.
home, sort of. I'm excited to be a part of the town that I've chosen to live in and work in. I have an office across the street and a house 6-minute walk away,
Fantastic.
or an apartment. I think this is an exciting time for Basalt, and I'm really excited to see where everything is going and all the big things the town's doing. And thank you for the opportunity to get involved. And I guess the only thing I've mentioned, my dad was a longtime town council member in Telluride. I think he joined for one term and ended up serving for 12 years because no one
Wow.
else would do it, and then was a school board president, and
Yeah.
has always encouraged me to get involved as I could, and I'm happy to be here, and I love Basalt, and I hope that I can
Wow.
contribute to this great town that we've all chosen to call home.
Great. Did you grow up in Telluride?
I did.
So do you know the very famous John Stevens by chance?
You know Johnny Stevens very well. My parents are coming up on their 50th year in Telluride next
Yeah,
month.
John's one of my best friends, so.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Johnny and I go way back, so.
He'll know
yeah.
my last name, so.
That's great.
I can say one thing if that's okay. So Eric, he had shown a bit of interest early on in maybe running for council, and so that's how Christy and I got acquainted with him, and then we chased him down at his office. We thought maybe he'd be interested in serving on one of our boards, and we had an opening on Finance Advisory Board, and so Eric has an economics degree from undergrad, so kind of that bigger picture finance piece. And should he have a continued interest in council in the future, we thought kind of getting that background also with the finances and how they work would be a feather in his cap. So we really appreciate you following through after
Thanks,
we
Ryan.
chased you down and twisted your arm a little.
I will mention one thing just for full disclosure. I'm a lawyer. My law firm is the present, does the town's water work. I don't have any involvement in that. Jeff knows, but one of my partners and one of our council attorneys does that. So I don't perceive any conflict of interest, but should it ever arise, I'm aware of it, and I will step back as needed.
Great. Questions for Eric?
Mayor, I move the town council appoint Eric Teal.
Tyley.
It's Tyley, but
Tyley,
Eric's fine. It's
sorry.
impossible.
Horrible. Bad memory. Eric Tile to the Finance Advisory Board for a 3-year term to end April 2025.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate having you volunteer,
Thank you.
be on the board, and hope you enjoy it. And
Thank you.
you're going to enjoy working with Christie, I know that, so.
We have
Easy to tell I will.
All right, great.
Thank you all.
I'll say hello to Stevens for you.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
So, next order of business, we're up to item 7C. It's a continued public hearing and second reading for ordinance number 9, series of 2022. It's an ordinance of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving amendments to the municipal code, amending Town Code Section 16-91, off-street parking requirements, Section 16-416, residential inclusionary requirements, Section 16-417, commercial mitigation requirements, and Section 16-421, voluntary deed restriction. James,
Thank you.
I think I said it all.
Yeah, I think you pretty much did. This is a continued public hearing and second reading of an ordinance that would approve of code amendments related to affordable housing topics, as the mayor indicated. As was discussed at the last meeting, the affordable housing topics that are reflected in the code amendments are topics that the Basalt Affordable Community Housing Commission was reviewing and working on, and they reviewed these amendments with the council in a work session in December. The topics include removal of the exemption to reduce the affordable housing mitigation requirements for developers that would provide a 1.5% real estate transfer assessment. The other topics that are included are changing the off-street parking requirements for 3-bedroom affordable housing units from 3 parking spaces to 2 parking spaces as an attempt to reduce the barriers to getting 3-bedroom and larger affordable housing units, since we don't really have any in our inventory currently. And then also the third topic is establishing a voluntary deed restriction process for property owners that want to voluntarily deed restrict their property. We currently don't have a process, and the Bach committee was interested in creating one. They thought it would be helpful potentially to have a process for voluntary deed restrictions. So it's been set up as an administrative process in the proposed code amendments. The Planning and Zoning Commission was supportive of the proposed code amendments, and staff detailed these items at first reading and would be happy to go into more detail on any of them if council would like. Staff would also entertain any questions that council has on them. And this evening, staff would recommend taking public comments because it is a public hearing, and then providing council discussion. And if you're comfortable, you could approve the ordinance on second reading.
All right, thanks, James. Since it is a public hearing, I will open the floor for public comment on the proposal. And I don't know if we have anyone that's called in for this, and there's no one present, unless the chief or Michelle want to.
There's nobody on.
Yeah. No callers?
I don't have anybody sitting
Okay.
in the attendees section, though.
Very good. Questions of council for James on ordinance 9?
I just have a random question about the 3-bedroom that I just thought of, that I didn't think of previously. Is there any requirement that that is a quote-unquote household, or can that be 3 roommates?
It could potentially be 3 roommates. There's no requirement that it is a family
Okay.
necessarily.
I'm just curious.
It might, would you, our code defines the fact that 3 unrelated people can live in a structure, but no more. So
Okay.
it kind of limits ultimately that
Gotcha.
3 people. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if there are none, I entertain a motion to approve ordinance 9, series of 2022 on second reading.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt ordinance number 9, series of 2022 on second reading.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll have to call the roll on this one, Pam.
Borrow that, sorry. Let's begin with Glenn Drummond,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
and Angela Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is item 7D, the continued public hearing, second reading on ordinance 10, series of 2022. This is an ordinance of the Town Council, the Town of Basalt, Colorado, granting special review approval to vary the front yard setback in the R3 TN zone district for the construction of a garage at 143 West Homestead Drive, Basalt. So this is Peter McBride's residence. We saw this presentation at the last meeting.
Yeah, and we have Pete on Zoom this evening, so he's joining us by Zoom. This item, as the mayor indicated, is a continued public hearing and second reading of an ordinance on an application that was submitted by Pete McBride, and it's for special review to vary the front yard setback to 4 feet for the construction of an attached garage at 143 West Homestead Drive. Which you can see here on the map is located on Homestead, just up from the curve that goes up to Sopris Drive. It's in the R3 TN zone district, and as was discussed at first reading, it contains a small single-family home that was built in the late 1800s. And they've proposed to construct a garage up to 4 feet off the front yard property line. The reason that they're proposing the setback variance request through the special review is that there's a significant tree that's located here. It's a pine tree that the town arborist has recommended should stay. Additionally, there's no off-street parking for this lot. You can see it here in the photo. The lot is raised above the street gate and has a stone wall in the front area of it. The process to do a special review to vary the front yard setback includes the Planning and Zoning Commission making a recommendation to the council with public hearings at both the P&Z and the council level. It is not a typical variance request that's a hardship. Instead, it has more flexibility because it's in the R3 TN zone district, and you have greater flexibility to vary setbacks than you do in other zone districts. The request, as I indicated, is to vary the front yard setback to 4 foot from 10 foot. For the construction of an attached garage, and it's proposed to have storage above. And the applicant in the application has indicated that he believes that there are unique circumstances in that it doesn't have any off-street parking spaces currently, and that there are several trees that kind of dictate where the garage would have to be. Staff agrees that there are exceptional circumstances, and the police and public works department are supportive of the applicant being able to create parking off-street because there have been issues with the on-street parking in the past. So this evening, staff would recommend considering public comments, taking council discussion, and ultimately, if you're comfortable with the conditions that are included in the ordinance, you could approve of the ordinance on second reading.
Great. Thank you. This is a public hearing, so I will open the floor. If there's anyone from the public that would like to comment, you can call in. There's appear to be anybody in person that will comment on this. So if there are any questions from council for the applicant, Pete McBride, or for James? Okay, I would just like to add for the record that I do think that it's this represents a good solution in terms of preserving trees, which are really valuable for the neighborhood, and there's very minimal public impact from varying this front yard setback for the garage. So I think I would certainly personally make that finding that this is a beneficial solution. So if There are no other comments and there are no public comments, and I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that town council adopt ordinance number 10, series of 2022 on second reading.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll call the roll. Pam?
Absolutely. Let's begin with Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Drummond,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Where are you
Appreciate
tonight? That looks pretty sketchy, that background. I don't know where you might be today.
Yeah, it's definitely sketchy. I'm on a boat. I'm actually on a boat.
That's what I was trying to get out of you. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Great. Well, next order of business is ordinance number 11, series of 2022. This is an ordinance of the Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving a contract to buy and sell real estate with MSP1 LLC for 4 deed-restricted lots in the Stotts Mill subdivision. James?
Thank you. This is first reading of an ordinance that would approve of a contract to purchase 4 deed-restricted lots in the Stotts Mill subdivision PUD. At the last meeting, the council approved a resolution that provided direction to staff to enter into a contract to purchase the 4 lots. The 4 lots were deed restricted and required as part of the original approvals for Stotts Mill in 2017. They have a price cap on them, which was valued at $175,000, and then it had an escalator that's built in on an annual basis. And so now each of the lots is just slightly over $200,000 each. And so we've got a draft contract that's attached to the ordinance that's in your packet. And staff would recommend taking any public comments, providing council discussion, and if you're comfortable, you could approve the ordinance on first reading. And the contract was prepared by the town attorney.
Yeah. So this is, I would admit, an odd question, but if they're, upon resale, we buy these guys and we resell, is there anything implied in terms of the public trust of that would require us to actually add the CPI-based appreciation rate on the sale of the unit, or could we maintain these at the original purchase price and sell them, to, worthy area employees?
Yeah. I don't recall, James, if under the approval ordinance, there's a continuing deed restriction that might restrict the ongoing appreciation for resale, but.
It's a maximum appreciation
max,
cap.
so-
So, if the town purchases them and chooses to sell them for the same price, that's within the guidelines.
So that just reflect, the public benefit of us purchasing these lots. We can even provide a better deal by not even charging the CPI-based appreciation upon resale. So that speaks in favor of them. So that's all I had. Anyone else? So this does not indicate, but this is a first reading, or is it second reading?
It's first reading.
First. Okay. There's not a public hearing, so we could, if there are no questions, we can entertain a motion to approve ordinance 11, series of 2022.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve ordinance number 11, series of 2022 on first reading and set the public hearing and second reading for May 10th, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Pam, please.
Absolutely. Let's begin with Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Drummond,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
and David Knight.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, item number 7F, resolution number 30, series of 2022, resolution of Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, authorizing the town manager to approve the contract for the Basalt River Park misting feature sculpture. Misting,
Mystic,
right.
that's right.
Still a little cool for misting out there, but
It is.
probably in
Thanks,
July.
Mayor.
it'll be good. So,
You
who's
have
got
me
this?
on Zoom.
Yeah, Catherine's here.
Sorry, I was
Oh, good.
just-
Hi,
On
Catherine.
Zoom, yeah. And Elise.
Hi, I'm here.
So you
Hi.
guys want to tell us what's up here?
Yes, tonight I'm bringing to you the contract with ID Sculptures for the supply of that misting sculpture, which is part of the Basalt River Park project. As you all know, the town has recently approved the contract for Phase 2 of the park with Rocky Mountain Custom Landscapes, and construction of Phase 2 of the park is scheduled to begin just shortly in May. Staff reviewed the budget for Phase 2 of the improvements with council at your last meeting, and the costs associated with this contract were contemplated as we summarized that to you at your last meeting. ID Sculptures has been working on both the design of the misting feature as well as the climbing wall element of the band shell. And they've been working with both staff and the park design team that consists of Connect One Design, and Elise Wolf is on the line tonight. But tonight we are just bringing forward to you the contract for the purchase of the misting feature sculpture itself. Rocky Mountain Custom Landscapes will ultimately do the installation of that structure. In your packet, you have a schematic of the final design. The complete sculpture will cost the town $84,084.50. And as I mentioned, there'll be some additional installation costs, but that will be as part of Rocky Mountain Custom Landscapes bid price. Staff recommends council approve the attached resolution that approves the contract with ID Sculpture for the sculpture pieces as part of the Basalt River Park elements. And you guys are moving fast tonight, so we did have Andres Zobs that was going to join us from ID Sculpture. He may jump on momentarily, but otherwise, Elise and I are here to answer any questions you might have about this part of the Basalt River Park project.
Great. Questions for Catherine or Elise?
I just had one question, or questions, I guess. As far as the controls, are there any kinds of timers or manual controls or sensors or anything like that in order, I guess, to make sure that they're not just running when no one's there? And what are you guys contemplating in that regard?
Motion.
Yeah, so there will be two pieces to that. It'll turn on every hour, and we can set that window, and it'll spray for a couple minutes. And then there will also be an on-demand button. So as kids arrive and want to play, you can press that button, and it'll go off in the line because it's a linear misting feature.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
What's the schedule for this? When's this going to be in place?
This summer?
Is it phase 2? Is it?
The park contractor is prioritizing getting the irrigation in first, both to help with the private development and just their scheduling of things, and that that feeds well into our schedule as well. And then I'd imagine there'll be a bit of a phasing. I'd imagine this won't be a top priority, but yeah, it will be coming later this summer. Once we have a firm schedule on when this element is installed, we're happy to update you with that.
Nice.
When I was on post committee, this was talked about being used year round. Is that still the plan?
Year round?
It can be, yes.
January, seriously? What shooting ice crystals.
I think I missed where is it in the park?
That's the kids' pool area.
It's in the plaza area. Look,
Can you
pull up
do an
a
illustrative?
plan. But yeah, there's a couple of.
We got a drawing on the wall here that's.
Okay. So there are a couple of softscape strips right now that you see out in the plaza right now. 3 of the 4 of those are going to be planted. One of them is going to be basically filled in with the concrete and the misting features. So the uplifts of the basaltic stones.
And they're separated, you know, they're not one continuous piece. There's ability for pedestrians to walk through.
Great.
If you walk out on the plaza, like the 2 dark gray bands, there's one on this end, one on that end, it'll go in between those.
There's some sort of luminescent light thing, if it's dark out, that you don't run into the black up angle.
There will be lighting in the park, and there is actually a light element that will be part of the feature as well.
Yeah, it's not inconceivable that perhaps patrons from the free range could maybe stumble out there. Or I didn't mean stumble, I meant walk out there. Okay, so any other questions? Cool, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution number 30, approving contract for the Basalt River Park misting feature sculpture.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 30, series of 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All
One
right.
abstention.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Elise is abstaining. So next item is resolution number 31, series of 2022. It's a resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving a grant of tobacco tax funds to the Roaring Fork School District to support the support of sports infrastructure projects at Basalt High School and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement. So Ryan and Jeff.
Yeah, so I'll just kick off and describe sort of the overall. At the last meeting, we received 2 applications, I'll say, one from the middle school and one from the high school related to tobacco tax funding. And we had Jennifer Elsperman from the middle school, who's the middle school principal, come and propose to the council that there be a support of funding for $150,000, and that was meant to be broken out into 2 different pots. So $100,000 to hire a full-time Spanish math teacher, dual language math teacher, and then a second, which is sort of an educational support, which is part-time. And both of those positions were contemplated to go for 3 years. The second application that we received was from the high school, and that's the subject of this first resolution, where they were requesting support for one-time expenditure. So this would just be this year's expense, and it was for 3 different projects. So one had to do with the weight room. They're finishing out the weight room at the high school, and have gone pretty far with some donations from community members and some of their own funding, and looking for a little extra to get that one over the finish line. The weight room has expanded quite a bit. It was kind of a few different rooms, and then they've even opened it up to have an outdoor portion, and they're wanting to pour a big slab out there. And we made it really clear at the last meeting that, you know, this isn't sort of just the football team going through there, that PE classes are able to use it, and a lot of different sports are able to use it. And then they've also instituted a 0-hour weight class before school, which is at 6:50 in the morning. So they've really been able to kind of expand offerings. The second is to rebuild the track surface. So the town did have some hand in that when they did it originally, about 17, 18 years ago. And now they're looking to completely rebuild it full depth. They have sort of an asphalt layer, and then above that goes that sort of spongy track surface. It's just past its useful life at this point, and so that cost would actually be split with the school, with us paying about $174,000 or so for that contribution. And it'll be purple, FYI. So, and then the third was an idea to replace the home side bleachers and press box. And what we heard from them last week was that what they're looking to do is expand some offerings outside of just sports. So doing some movie nights and things that are bringing kids in for something safe to do, something that's, you know, monitored by adults and sort of a drug-free, alcohol-free, you know, kind of environment, which we hope is the case most of the time, but just, you know, this is a controlled environment. And they have a new scoreboard going in, which is being paid for by others, but showing movies. So the other piece to it with the press box, besides the obvious of announcing games and things like that, is they're getting some broadcast journalism classes that they're looking to offer, and this kind of gives students an opportunity to get sort of a real hands-on experience with that. So at the last meeting, council provided direction to staff to bring back sort of the formalized agreements, and that's what we have before us here. And Jeff put together these contracts in a similar fashion to what we did with the Hope Center and the school district last year, when we provided 3-year grants. One was for the elementary school, if you recall, for an in-house counselor, and then for the Hope Center to offer counseling throughout the community. So those will be paid sort of, you know, in a lump sum. For those capital improvements, however, we're going to do it a little differently, where we did it in a kind of a similar fashion to CAW, where when they were doing their capital improvements, they'd submit to us their invoices, and that gave us the ability to, you know, have that look at it, and Christy is able to review those, and then we can go ahead and pay those incrementally. We've checked with their finance director at the school, and he was okay with that approach and appreciated that. So that's where we are tonight, and of course this first resolution is just for those one-time capital improvements at the high school.
Okay, any questions for Ryan or Jeff on the resolution 31? David?
I just want to say thanks again for coming up with all this stuff, and, you know, let's keep the dialogue going, you know, in the absence of mass smoking cessation. You know, we need to find ways to use this money and not let it just sit in the bank account somewhere, so thank you.
Yep.
Just had a question with regards to the middle school. Is this, I mean, presuming there's somebody in the pipeline that they're going to hire for that, or, I mean, what if they don't? Do they just hold on to that money until there is?
Yeah, we wouldn't expend the money if they're unable to hire somebody, but we'd make it available to them for 3 years. And I can't remember, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, if they had somebody yet in the pipeline. This is the time of year where they're starting to look at hiring and things, so that, you know, with this approval, I think they'll be able to then go ahead and put it out. So I can certainly get back to you on that.
And then the one comment we discussed earlier was the, you know, you like to take credit for good things, in my opinion, and I think that when we have an opportunity, say for instance, the press box or the bleachers or whatever it is, you know, that we alert the community that is paid for by, you know, the tobacco tax.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, I think it's good. I think it raises awareness and.
Yeah, it's good.
Can you do a placard or anything?
Yeah, I would. We spoke this afternoon, and I thought that sounded like an interesting idea and a legitimate request, just so it does signal to the community that this money is being reinvested in neat ways in the community. So I'll follow up with the school about that, and we can bring something back to council.
In case Scott Condon is listening in, I'm stamping my foot 3 times.
Yeah, he is listening. He said he was going to listen in tonight, so.
Okay.
Did you have anything?
Yeah, I just,
You said everything I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
I just had one quick question. You said 174,000 for the track? Or is it
I was
what's in
working
here?
from memory, so
Oh, okay, no, that's fine. It just said
Oh,
136
sorry.
here, and so
I
I was
think
just.
that's right, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I misspoke.
Okay,
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 31, series of 2022.
Second.
all right, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. That's a good
Thanks for
step.
catching that,
So
putting
we
it on
got
the
more good stuff coming
That's good.
here. Resolution 32. So this is a resolution, Town Council, Basalt, Colorado, approving a grant of tobacco tax funds for the Roaring Fork School District for a math and Spanish teacher at Basalt Middle School and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement. So you want to recap
So I
this,
kind of,
think?
yeah, went through that spiel,
did.
and so this one would approve this one is for the Spanish, the math and Spanish teacher, so the $100,000 for 3 years to the
Yeah.
middle school.
Mayor, I move, right?
There you go, there you go, dear.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 32, series of 2022.
Great.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So, Resolution 33, a resolution of Town Council, Basalt, Colorado, approving a grant of tobacco tax funds to the Roaring Fork School District for a half-time peak teacher at Basalt Middle School and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement. So, this is part 3 of
Part 3, that's right, as you said, so another 3-year grant for $50,000 each year for this teacher.
great.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 33, series of 2022.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No opposed, so there we go. So that moves us on to first reading of ordinance number 12. This is a series of 2022, an ordinance of the Town Council, Basalt, Colorado, for a supplemental appropriation for additional carryover of funds from the 2021 budget to the 2022 budget for various projects and additional tobacco tax expenditures. Christie?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is actually a fairly easy ordinance in regards to the supplemental budget. I just had a couple other things after looking through everything and finalizing reconciliations. I wanted to take out, again, the RAFTA grant addition that I added the last ordinance, so that zeroed it out because I found where that money was. So I apologize for that, but just transparently, that's what happened. And then looking at carrying over the Pickens County DOLA funding, that's our match that we had originally paid with sales tax last year on ordinance 1, just carrying that over to the budget for this year. So that's the carryovers for this ordinance. And then also looking at additional funding for the tobacco tax for the items that were aforementioned by Ryan and Jeff in the last 3 resolutions. So that'll summarize our budget and get that to where everything that we have approved, we can pay for now.
Okay.
Yep.
Questions for Christie?
Can you remind me of what DOLA is?
Oh, yes, Department of Local Affairs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a pass-through. Pickens County is actually doing the grant reporting and everything like that, and they just have a kind of a quasi-agreement where we're gonna be able to utilize those funds for the fiber project.
Cool, thanks.
And then report to them, and then they'll submit to DOLA.
And just so you know, Department of Local Affairs may not clarify it that much either, but it's essentially a state agency that is able to do different grants. So they do have kind of different pots of money, and one of the things that they do is grants. They also offer technical assistance and things like that to municipalities. But in this instance, this was for the fiber grant.
Correct.
Yeah, so this was a cooperative grant between us and Pickens County and City of Aspen and Snowmass Village that we put in for a pot of money they had for fiber optic. And so we'll be doing, kind of finishing out that project this year.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
When are they gonna actually start, like, putting the fiber in?
Don't know yet. Is Catherine still on?
No.
No, she dropped off. sorry, can't answer. I can get you.
Slow going.
Yeah.
All right, David?
Related to that, any further discussion or takers on maybe providing service on the fiber? I don't know if anything there has evolved.
Not yet. I think Pitkin County will be taking the lead on that. I think they're going to kind of bid it out to get some interest from different providers. And I guess I'll just talk about that briefly. Is the idea with this is that, you know, we're taking these public funds and looking to build out essentially a public fiber optic network. So it would be what they call open access. So the idea is that you promote competition in the marketplace. So you don't just have, say, one option within your neighborhood. There's a possibility of getting other options, and you know, when they're competing, you know, potentially you either stabilize prices or maybe even reduce them over time. So
Thanks for that.
yeah.
Okay, any additional questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 12. We don't have a public hearing, so I can open this up for a motion for the first reading on ordinance number 12.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve ordinance number 12, series of 2022 on first reading, and set the public hearing and second reading for May 10th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
All right, let's begin with Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you. Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
and Angela Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
All right. So, next order of business is a rangy one, this appointment of council members to committees and boards. So we've got a little schedule here. I think Ryan's going to tell us kind of what status of play here.
Yeah.
on all of our-
So this will be like an auction, and I'm going to be the auctioneer.
There'll be an auction with no bidders.
Right.
I thought we were doing boxing gloves this year.
So, yeah, so the idea here is town council has, you know, an opportunity to join different boards and committees that are, you know, either locally relevant or regionally relevant, and to, you know, kind of participate and then bring information back and you know, update this council. And so we have several of the members that have been on for a few years that are currently seated, and so, you know, I think we've put this together. Elise had mentioned at the last meeting that there were some vacancies potentially, or new positions created with some boards that she sits on, and then I think Elise was interested. She had like 4, I think, boards that she was sitting on.
Forgot one.
Oh, you did? Okay, so I think maybe she's going to offer up that somebody else could maybe fill a seat or two there. And so I think what might make sense, I think several of you have been able to kind of talk amongst yourselves. I did reach out to Angela and Dieter, and just, you know, they kind of told me their interest a little bit, which, you know, I don't need to speak for them. But as we get go through here, maybe we would just kind of go down in order, if that's okay, because we're going to try to make sure we get everybody's name and fill it in. And so,
Can you put it up on the screen? Do you have that?
oh, James, are you
have it?
able to put this?
It is in the packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
It's
just a quick
7J,
second.
James.
That's great.
Page 113.
So I'll just start off here. So one of the appointments we've already done, we did that at the last meeting, which was Mayor Pro Tem. So David Knight was appointed by the council to that. The second is the Rudai Water and Power Authority. Ryan Slack is on that, and that will continue, assuming Ryan wants to do it. You seem to enjoy that one, yeah? Great. The third is the RAFTA, the Roaring Fork Transit Agency. So typically the mayor is always the main appointment there, but there is an alternate there that is currently vacant. So that would be the
I think it's
first.
usually the mayor pro tem would fill the alternate spot.
I think
If,
that's fine.
if the mayor pro tem is willing to.
I've already done one, so I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, you got the
Right, you did
ropes.
attend.
So, yeah.
So that would be David Knight.
Do we want to get a nod from council on those as we go, or?
We'll just do a motion at the end.
At the
I'll
end,
just
okay.
kinda take
Okay,
notes and-
great.
yeah.
Great, and then, Roaring Fork Conservancy, David Knight, you are on that one, currently, you're good to
Oh, yeah.
continue serving on that, great. The Board of Zoning Adjustment, we have one alternate, Glenn, looks like you are the second alternate. I'm not sure that's met, since I've worked for the town in the last 5 years, so.
I've never had it.
That's a great
Yeah.
board to be on.
Yeah.
It's met twice in the 16 years that I've been here.
Okay, so,
It doesn't meet very often.
you know, probably, I mean, if somebody wants to just throw their name in, you could. We could also leave Glenn.
I'll be the first alternate.
Moving up in the batting order.
Yeah, all right.
There we go.
So why don't we do that, Glenn, if you're okay with moving up. Does anybody else want to just throw their name in and,
Sure, I'll take the second.
okay. Dieter?
I'm not offering, cause all of a sudden that board will get really active.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay, this next one is the Vale Board, so the Victims and Witness Assistance and Law Enforcement Board. So Chief Knott heads this board up, and we have two council member positions on it. Gary was on it. David Knight is still on it. And this board, you will, throughout the year, review applications for victims of crime. You know, I think I heard one earlier of a stolen bike, where somebody got a bike stolen and they are able to apply, and it's not like you're replacing the bike, you know, wholly, but or the value of the bike, but you know, a contribution can be made to it. The other thing that we started last year and are about to, you know, kick off again this year, are the tobacco tax grants that we offer. So those are up to, you know, $10,000, and those go to area nonprofits that are providing services that fit within our tobacco tax. So we'll be reviewing those in the next week or two. So that's kind of a busy time of year. Any other thing that I'm missing, Chief, on that?
Excuse me, is the police donations, that
Oh.
making expenditure of police donations are the oversight of that.
That's right. So those came from Lake Christine Fire, right?
And I think we get donations throughout.
And other, okay. And so, if they're, as Chief said, but I don't know if the microphone picked it up, so I'll repeat, that as we get donations, which the police department does, one larger chunk of it came during the Lake Christine fire, so this board would also oversee requests for use of that money. So, any interested members for that?
I'd be interested in that.
You want to do it? Okay.
Is it, yeah, I'm, for sure.
It's just one.
Yeah,
So,
We have two interested members.
well, that's all right, I'll.
Flip a quarter.
Oh, I thought it was.
We could flip. David Knight's still on, so we just need
Yeah.
one more.
No, please.
Yeah. You're up.
Okay, Angela.
Angela,
It's a good group, you'll enjoy it.
Okay, and then we have BEMC, which is the Basalt Emergency Management Committee, so Glenn's been serving on that. Are you good? Continuing on that? Okay.
this is also affectionately known as floods and fires.
Yes.
And pandemics. It was a big pandemic.
That's right. And what this one does, just for folks that may not know out there, is it's a sort of a consortium of our regional members. So folks from Eagle County, the sheriff's office, their emergency manager, folks from over here, people from business interests, council member, that are able to get together and just kind of talk about emergency response, and there's emergency planning. Mud and flood happens every year, fires, any kind of natural disaster. So it's just a way to keep the conversation going and making sure that we're all up on, information that's coming out or ways to communicate to the public about things. So it's a useful group. And Pam, briefly tell us who started this?
It was started by people like Dick Merritt, Colonel Dick Merritt, and Ann Friedman's husband, Phil Friedman.
That's right.
As a Y2K process, back when we knew that the computers were all going to fail and the world was going to die on 1999?
1999, that's right.
And so, they started this, and then it grew into more of a regional emergency management task force, introducing things like incident management control, incident management command, which is what everybody uses in the whole world now for taking over incidents, fire incidents, or any emergencies. It's a what would you call it?
Natural disaster response.
Yes,
basically.
natural disaster response, and it's a formal way of organizing the response to these natural disasters and so forth. So, we have several citizen members. We have fire, police, EMT. Who else do we have on it, Chief?
Picking, you've got Valerie McDonald with
Pickett
County,
Emergency
you've got Birch
Managers.
Barron with Eagle County.
Right, and the golf course has
Yeah, Roaring
Dick
Fork
Merritt
Cub
still
Scouts.
comes to the meetings occasionally, so.
And Sam learns a new acronym every time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, there are acronyms out the wazoo, I'm telling you.
So just a little background on that one, but looks like, Glenn, thanks for continuing on that one. This next one, a Basalt Early Childhood Coalition. So this has been going on for some number of years. Gary was on that. Ryan Slack continues on there. And there's been a long-standing conversation. I think that's been going about, Gary said his son was maybe 1, so it's like 14 or 15 years, something like that. And so it's a regional group, once again, to talk about childcare, and there's probably a little bit more action for us right now with the Parcel 2E and that being conceptually designed, and then having Blue Lake, who submitted a proposal to see if they can get this off the ground and actually get funding to do something with the design. And so it meets every second Friday of each month, so it looks like about one meeting a month. Sometimes there will be special meetings. We had one last week, but those are probably a little more infrequent. Or,
It's about once a month.
Yeah, okay.
And I would say I was really the council member.
You were the council member?
Gary kind of.
He was.
I was definitely not alternate.
So does that mean you're moving up to?
No, I want to stay as alternate. I'm happy
He
to
actually
be
wants
alternate.
to be the alternate.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be alternate.
Okay.
and Work with someone on it and bring them up to speed, but that's a pretty good synopsis. It's
Okay, cool.
do funding for needs, people in need, and as well as quality of care and continued education for the teachers. And it's something that we've grown in the last 4 years, so it's a good program.
Okay, so we have one spot open for the alternate.
No, for the primary.
I'll do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Very good. And Ryan, at this point, you bring a lot of value to that too, just because it's.
I'll stay.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like that the history of the conversations. And all that. I think that's good.
Then I can bring Angela up to speed.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This next one, Northwest COG, so Northwest Council of Governments. So once again, it's sort of a group of regional governments that can address issues that affect local governments regionally, bring issues to the state, and if you're for lobbying purposes or information dissemination, often we'll get little surveys. If somebody has a salary survey, or who's doing this about affordable housing, or things like that, and just kind of gets you an idea of what's happening and some advocacy on our behalf. So I think that one's just a a once-a-month type of a thing, and we do have, we've historically had one of our planning staff on that. It was Watkins before he left, and Sarah Nadolny's been sitting in on that, and we'll see which staff member will continue once we get staffed up, but we'll ask for a council member as well.
I'd be interested in it.
Okay? Everybody good with that?
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, Bill Infante.
Yeah, Bill Infante was on that, yep. Okay, so Elise, you'll probably have to tell us a little bit about this one, but CORE, our Office of Resource Efficiency, so they've kind of restructured, and now they're going to have a board of directors, but then subcommittees. You'd given an example of one, which was the Finance Committee. There may be others as well.
Yeah, so CORE is restructuring. They're creating what they're calling CORE 2.0. And as part of that, so we had this this board meeting that's referenced here that's every third Thursday from 8:30 to 11. And what we're trying to do is actually bring that down to a 1-hour meeting of the board of directors, which would be fed by the subcommittee meetings, which would be once a month as well on a different schedule. And at this point, we're still in like the doodle poll phase of determining when those are happening. So I am the board member in charge of the Programs and Services Committee, and I was sitting on the Finance Committee, and that is just too much for me. So I was actually hoping, Dieter, that you might be interested with your background on the Finance Advisory Board here. And there's going to be a huge amount of overlap among these committees. There's also I guess they're calling it marketing and development. And so basically, the Programs and Services Committee will have to make sure that it's financially feasible, to do a service. So there's going to be crossover there, and that there is, the capacity to market it, that we have the resources for it. So there's just a ton of, crossover that's going to happen. So it's not as dry as it might sound. And I think there is opportunity on some of those other committees. I'm not sure how the structure is going to build out, but I specifically was hoping to find somebody to fill out the Finance Committee position that I vacated in order to take over as Program and Services.
And is this the real schedule, or that's TBD at this point?
No, so that's TBD. So it'll be likely a 1-hour a month commitment.
I'm in, sure.
Yay!
Good fit.
Okay, great. And then we have the Aspen Snowmass Nordic Council. This is extremely time consuming, so whoever has a lot of time in their schedule. No, this is a cool one. And this, David, you'd be able to say a little bit better, but more or less oversight of all the Rio Grande and other Nordic trails that get
Snowmass and the golf course in Aspen, even all the way up the North Star. So here we have the Roaring Fork Club, and now the council grooms that, and it's been in awesome shape. So it's not, you enjoy it, observe it, and tell everybody how great it is. But they're grooming it now all the time. And there's also, occasionally there's discussion about other opportunities for Nordic in the Mid Valley. So that's something to, it's interesting about this one as well. So I'm happy to continue. Gary and I kind of did it together. I'm the alternate, but I went to a lot of meetings too. So happy to continue that with somebody else.
How often are the meetings?
Once a month, but not every, this one got canceled.
Uh-huh.
But when you get later in the summer, especially through the winter, it's every month.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's usually, they've had some remote, but it's now Aspen City Hall most of the time.
Where are the meetings? At the
It was at the Armory, now it's in the new one.
City Hall?
Yeah.
Midday.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that with David.
Remote option, and then warrants.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Are you planning on being the primary appointee or the?
I'll be the alternate.
To the primary?
I'll do primary. You want to do alternate?
Yeah,
Is that okay? Okay.
Okey doke. Very good. Okay, and then we have IMPTR, which is the Intermountain Regional Planning Commission. And what this really looks at, as it says, is regional transportation funding, mostly coming through, the state, sort of on our, through federal highway dollars. And it says my name on it. Typically, it's planning staff that have attended that. Have we had a council member that was on that? I don't even remember.
We haven't really in the past. It's primarily been planning staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as an alternate, we could have a council member on there. Do they, how do they?
There are other elected officials that attend the meeting. It's basically quarterly, and it has been by Zoom, but they'll probably start it back up in person at Eagle County Room in Eagle County, Eagle.
I feel like you got a lot to do with RAFTA. I mean, that seems like a fit for you.
Yeah, that's probably a logical fit, so that'd be fine.
Sure.
Do that.
Very good. And then we have the Regional Housing Task Force. So Elise has been sitting on this, and now it's, it was sort of a concept, and now it's been formalized. So it's got its nonprofit status, and they're forming a board of directors, and I've been getting emails that they are asking council to formalize a member on that. Elise has indicated that she's interested in being on the board of that. So anything else to fill in on?
Just that one is very active right now. We're meeting once a week for an hour on Thursdays from 11 to 12. So that one is kind of a big time commitment. But it's near and dear to my heart, and I'm really excited that we actually have gotten this off the ground and got the nonprofit. We're looking at funding sources now. And there's a lot of different funding sources specific to different programs. So what we're looking at now is sort of matching funding source grants to specific regional projects. So I think you were asked to fill out a questionnaire that was basically, asking like, well, what is Basalt looking to do? And we asked that of everybody, all of the member communities. CMC is also a member as well, just as an aside. They're our first non-municipal member, but we expect there will be more. So that's basically where it's at right now.
Do you know, was that questionnaire sent out?
Mm-hmm.
By Kara?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a while ago? Maybe I already filled it out. It wasn't just.
No, it wasn't just.
Okay, so we probably filled it out then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I imagine we already filled it out.
I'll check in with her to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, basically it's looking at like what communities have land for land banking, what communities are looking at programmatic measures like the deed buy down, that sort of thing. And then trying to match those different programs to the available grant funds. So we've been sort of angling for ARPA. There's another acronym for you, which I don't even remember what it stands for. What is it? American?
Oh, the ARPA funding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What does that stand
Yeah,
for?
what is ARPA?
American Recovery Plan Act.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we had been angling for the ARPA funds, but then recognizing now that there's a lot more out there, so more bang for the buck, more options. So we'll see what we can do. Pretty exciting, actually.
Great.
Nerding out.
So who wants to do that one?
Elise is, yeah, I
Okay.
think they just need one,
There,
right?
alright,
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thanks for doing that. That's a very cool thing.
Okay, so this next one is one that Elise is on. I think this is the one that she's looking to shed, which is Colorado Communities for Climate Action, CC4CA, which is really a policy directed group that we are part of that is doing like advocacy and policy work at local and state level mostly.
Mostly at state.
Yeah. And it looks like they're meeting once a month. And Sarah Nadolny's also, who's our staff member in planning, is attending those pretty regularly, as I understand it. Is that right?
It's actually every other month.
Oh, it's every other?
Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah, it says every other, sorry.
Make it sound terrible that I'm trying to shed it. That's not how it is.
Well, hold on, let's go back and see the ones that you're on here, so.
You've got quite a few that
Yes,
you're on.
it's not meant to be negative, just, you need to
Well,
get real with your time frame.
So, and then and the background to that is, in addition to every other month, this hour-and-a-half meeting, which is not a huge time commitment, they are always looking for people to testify, to the House or the Senate on bills, which is typically in the middle of the day during my workday. It's hard for me to take that time. And then they also have a number of subcommittees. So they have a policy committee, they have a, I don't know what it's called, but it's, it's basically like the new idea innovation committee kind of thing. And I think there's one or two others. And so they're doing similarly to what we just discussed with CORE, where they're doing the recommendations and sort of rolling up to the board level. And so they would have preferred somebody that could commit to be on one of those subcommittees as well, and it was just too much for me to take on. So anybody who might be interested in this, so the things of interest to note is, would you be comfortable testifying? And sometimes it's almost always by Zoom, and sometimes it's literally just signing your name to a letter. And do you have the time to maybe be on one of the subcommittees if there's interest? And then the third thing is just understanding that this is like very policy oriented, very like legislative. That's the word I was looking for. Very legislative.
And Sarah has been on any of those committees or not at the moment?
She was, and I'm not sure, I don't think she has been for the last year because the time that they met conflicted with something here.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was like Green Team or one of her other commitments. So I don't think either one of us has been on a committee for the last year or so.
Okay, thanks. So, anybody interested in CC4CA?
What's the subcommittee time commitment?
I think it's about an hour a month.
I'll do it if no one else is.
You don't want to do it.
Okay. And you'll have support.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I like policy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get support, especially now that we're getting staffed up and planning again. You can get.
And I told, so Jacob Smith is the executive director kind of. That's not his official title. They're actually hiring somebody as executive director, but he's been sort of running the show. And I told him that I was happy to stay involved, so I could be an alternate.
Okay, we'll appreciate that.
Okay. And then the next one is the CAC Climate Action Committee. So Elise, you've been on this one, and this was one you were interested in continuing.
Well, there's a lot of synergy between this one and CORE.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense.
Great. Okay. Which one did you forget before I go on to this last one?
So the Mountain Pact, I was sort of Bill Onfonte and I were sort of the acting liaisons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't have a board of directors or anything like that, so it's not that kind of formalized role.
She's quite a proactive communicator.
Yeah, she is. So, I mean, we don't necessarily need, I mean, I think she reaches out to me
I get all of those
directly
too,
now.
yeah.
So if everybody is, feels like that communication is happening, then we don't need to formalize that, I don't think, but I just wanted to mention it to make
Yeah, no,
sure
that's
that
good.
we didn't let it slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
Make sure they have their emails, Angela's and Dieter's.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Somebody must have, because I think we all get them, don't we?
I'm sure they update them, but I mean, we could let her know, but you guys have come on. And,
When she knows Bill left.
oh, she does, okay, all right. Okay, and then the last one is, and, I don't, if somebody wants to drop off, great, but.
This
is one of the better ones to be on, right here.
We meet once a year.
We regularly meet once a year.
Yes. It's kind of a fun one,
Yeah,
though.
it is.
So David, Elise, and Glenn have been on this, and when we do our council discretionary
Stay on
grants.
there. You still got a lot of stuff. Do you want?
Well, it's definitely a fun one, but I was gonna say, it actually is such a great way to learn about all of the nonprofits in our community. Like, we have way more amazing nonprofits than I ever realized. So, I would be willing to step down if somebody else was interested, and just from that perspective, and it's fun, cause you get to give away money, and everybody loves you.
I'll tag out with you.
Okay.
That's great. I think with your, financial acumen too, that'll help out, Dieter.
Okay, I think that's it. So did you want a motion from council then?
Yeah, I'll just summarize all the appointments I heard. So RAFTA, David will be alternate, Board of Zoning Adjustment, Glenn's moving up to first, Dieter will be alternate, Vale, Angela, Basalt Early Childhood Education, Angela, Northwest Cog, Glenn, Core, Dieter, Nordic Council, actually back on Court. David will be the primary and Dieter will be the alternate. Did I get that right?
No, Elise is the primary, the board member for core.
Oh, I'm looking
and
at the wrong
Dieter
one. Yeah,
is the, he's going to join one of the committees.
Finance committee.
Nordic Council, David will be primary, Ryan alternate. IMPTR, Bill will be the appointee there.
As the alternate.
As the alternate. RHTF.
I think that was the
Elise,
alternate.
CC4CA, David. I just wrote this last one, discretionary committee, Dieter, and I think that was everyone.
Yeah.
The new ones.
Yep.
So if someone wanted to make a motion to make those appointments?
Mayor, I move that the town council make appointments to the committee boards as discussed in the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Done. Thank you, guys. Very productive evening.
All right.
Hope I lit up this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more at the program level.
You stand the excitement, Angela? This is.
So excited.
We did good.
I like
We literally.
Good.
Perfect.